We're live.
All right. So welcome everybody to the Prescott BIA Board of Management agenda meeting. I call the meeting to order on February 13th, 2024 at 5:41 p.m. That's it.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is the approval of the agenda. The recommendation is that the agenda is approved as presented. Can I get a mover? All right, Tracy, and a seconder? Okay. Charity? All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, perfect. And the next one is the item 3, declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations of interest with the item on the agenda? No? All right, so we'll move on. And the delegation and presentations, item 4, there's no delegations tonight. And 5, we are heading into minutes of the previous meeting. The recommendation is that the minutes dated January 9th, 2024 be accepted as presented. Can I get a mover? Tracy? And a seconder? All right, Nicole?
Sorry, I just put my hand up.
Oh, okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next is item 6, the financial report, and I'll turn it over to Nicole to present.
Great. So 2023 BIA revenue is 30,447. We've used 10,497 for coordinator expenses. Next is 5,565 in marketing and promotions, and 29,000 for physical improvements. That leaves us with a deficit of 14,615. But if you go down to general reserves, we did have 55,013 with our deficit this year, 14,615, 15,000 being allocated to streetscapes reserve. And that leaves us 25,399. And we're also allocating 1,000 for public art, 4,000 for stopgap, which leaves us 20,399.
So essentially what's going on here is that some of those larger expenditures in 2022, patio contribution, pop-ups contribution, and lighting were approved and sort of accounted for in 2022, but weren't expensed until 2023. So they are on this is essentially the year end, what will go to the annual general meeting financial report. So these were the expenses as they went out in 2023, but the end result is the same. Essentially, we added about $5,000 to the reserves this year at the end of the year, leaving the remaining balance as $20,399 in the regular reserves. 15,000 in that streetscape reserve fund. So that's the new fund that was started, I believe 3 meetings ago towards the idea of doing the full-on streetscape. And then the stopgap and the public art essentially are in the same space for 23-24, that those other things were for 22-23, and that they were approved in the previous year, 2023, but we're going to be expensing them in 2024. So they are essentially in that sort of reserve area now.
Yeah. Tracy?
Okay, no, that's what I was gonna ask about, why you were showing the public art and the stopgap in reserves.
So basically that they just been
We're gonna
over there
expense
until
those.
they're expensed in this year, that both likely by the mid or end of the summer.
So we can pull that out of reserves next
Yes.
year. Okay.
Yes. And I mean, basically that 20,399, you could look at that as +4, +1, +15. And
Yeah.
that's funds that are there that could be reallocated.
Yeah.
And if say, for example, we don't get much more uptake on, say, the stopgap and ends up only being maybe 10, 12 ramps that get purchased and there's money left there, then that would just essentially transfer back over into those regular reserves.
Right, because this is at year end,
Yeah,
December 31st.
yeah,
Okay,
this is
right.
our-
So when we
this
look,
is our-
yeah, so
Based
when
on
we,
financial statements,
Okay.
yeah.
so when we go to the January one,
Mhm,
then we're gonna, or February, I guess now,
mhm.
then we can show the stopgap and the public art coming out as expenses?
Once you make that,
Once
Okay.
they're spent.
once you actually expense that item,
Okay,
then it comes out.
okay. Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that's what
And then that-
happened.
yeah.
Okay.
Just helps keep things on the books too, so projects don't fall by the wayside
Yeah, for
as
sure.
well.
Okay.
But we've got a nice healthy reserve still,
Mhm.
even despite the streetscape allocation.
Okay, is that it? All the questions? All right, well, thanks, Justin, and thanks, Nicole. If there's no other questions, the recommendation is that the financial report, including the 2023 year-end report, is accepted as presented. Can I get a mover? Okay, Tracy, and a seconder, Charity? Okay. All in favor? All right. Perfect. So for the chair updates, we don't really have anything to update yet with, right, that? No, okay. All right, on to number 8, staff updates. I'll ask Dana to provide the downtown business and development update.
Okay. So we have had one opening since our last meeting, which was Dream Cannabis, opened January 16th, located at 290 King Street West. They celebrated a soft opening, and we're just in conversations with them about an official grand opening coming up in the next few weeks. I have a couple other businesses too that we're in discussions with about grand openings as well, including Wing House. That's one that we're just waiting for some corporate direction from them so we can move forward on that. And we have some upcoming openings. La Boutique Thrift, a new business coming to downtown Prescott in spring 2024. So you'll see a grand opening for that business very soon. That's located at 119 King Street West, which is just east of Old Magic, in the former radio station and then Watergirl location. Near your location too, yes. And then we thought we would just update the board on some upcoming events. So you'll see here the International Women's Day event is scheduled for March 7th, 2024. That's located at the North Grenville Municipal Center. That's a great event held every year in collaboration between Leeds Grenville and the Small Business Advisory Center. And we have actually one of our members, Katarina's, is going to be one of the panelists at this year's event. So we're quite excited to see that. And then we have a chocolate night hosted by World Financial Group. It's a chocolate night and women's financial night. So that's taking place February 23rd at World Financial Group, which is located at 436 King Street West. We would encourage everyone to check that event out. Great chance to learn a little bit more about this new business. And then we have the CSE Consulting Spring Job Fair is coming up on February 27th. So great opportunity if there's any employers out there looking, recruiting, there are opportunities to display and promote your positions to the public. And we'll be there attending, the town will be there with the booth, and we'll be promoting our summer positions as well. It's a great event, just great opportunities even for networking with fellow businesses as well. So come on out to that if you have a chance. And we have Leeds Grenville County. I wanted to bring your attention to this. The county, you're probably familiar with this. Leeds Grenville Economic Development Department has partnered with a number of organizations and municipalities throughout the region, including Prescott, to issue another business survey, which will be open until March 10th. Really looking for input from the business community, trying to get a sense, as we're coming into out of the key pandemic period, and we've had, a couple of years under our belts to try and rebound. We'd like to hear from the business community and see how they're doing, what sort of needs, opportunities they have, and how we can support that moving forward. So I would encourage all businesses to take the opportunity to please complete that survey.
You're all done?
You. For the,
That's
that's it. All right.
it, sorry.
That is it for updates.
Okay. All right, so on to the agenda items, associate memberships, working group recommendations and discussions. So we have, I'll ask Justin to present some of the outcome of the working group discussions and their recommendations.
So at the last meeting, we discussed the idea of associate memberships, and something that has come up quite a few times before, whether we could have memberships that were outside of the traditional BIA area, traditional BIA businesses, where businesses could have the opportunity to join in and participate with BIA events in a more formal way. So I just want to take you through what we did along sort of journey. So we did reach out to OBIA, the provincial organization of the BIAs, who sent us some information about other BIAs that have done associate memberships. We reviewed online resources, so looked into some of the other BIAs who may have done this more recently than some of the OBIA information. And then looked at those basically on what were comparable BIAs, like what were they offering, what was included, what wasn't included in these associate memberships. And through that, there were sort of some common themes, and that was that the associate memberships were promotions and marketing oriented. So they were less directed towards the beautification element of the BIA and more towards collective promotions and collective marketing, the way that the associate membership businesses could sort of help the BIA's offering and vice versa. In most cases, they were based on the proximity to the BIA. So whether it was in larger communities, basically essentially adjacent downtown businesses, or whether it was a geographic location within the same municipality, within the same end of the municipality, they all had a real proximity basis to those memberships. In most cases, they focused on like businesses. So businesses where you could say that sort of augments, looks like it would be part of a traditional downtown if it was differently located, or if it was physically located versus a home-based business. In nearly every case, the board had discretion on applications. So they are applications and not a registration. So businesses would apply, they complete the application process, the Board of Management would decide whether those businesses were going to be admitted as associate members. And in every case, there was no participation in the beautification program. So in things like the hanging basket programs in some communities, in benches, park work programs, those associate members were not part of that collective beautification program. So in other locations, they weren't receiving, say, hanging baskets as part of their associate membership. We had the working group meeting, which was Natalie and Tracy a few weeks ago, and had a really good discussion looking at a lot of this stuff. Tracy had done quite a bit of research as well, looking into these associate membership programs in other communities. And after the discussion, the sort of ideas that came out were that yes, the Downtown Prescott BIA should establish an associate member program that it should limited to businesses that are outside the BIA area, but still within the town of Prescott. So keep sort of the municipal boundaries as the boundaries of this, so we're not getting into sort of conflicting situations. That these businesses, they can be brick and mortar businesses in other locations in Prescott, but they can also be home-based businesses and they can be seasonal businesses. If they're operating in Prescott, then that fits into those parameters. Some discussion on looking for those downtown-like businesses, those ones that are really would not seem out of place moving into the downtown today if they were a brick and mortar business, or those businesses that are located elsewhere in Prescott that really seem to have sort of a downtown vibe to them, that when you look at them, you say, aside from location, they seem like they would be a BIA business. That they would have open participation in downtown events, so things like sidewalk sales or food events, looking for a way for those associate members to be able to come down and participate in those as if they were a BIA member. That the marketing and promotional opportunities would be there. So when there were things like if there was a downtown specific passport or event like that, allow them to participate, as well as just rolling them into promotions where it makes sense for everyone involved. And then that participation in committees and working groups would be sort of the participatory governance participation that those associate members could have. So they can't sit on the board, they can't be elected to the board, they can't vote at AGMs, but allowing and encouraging the participation of these businesses in things like the working group, like we did with Riverwalk Wonderland, or with the associate memberships, where someone wanted to contribute and have an opportunity to come in like that. That would be a role for the associate members. So there was, before I get to this slide, in your package, there was the less a formal policy than it was a idea of what would eventually go out to potential associate members. Which is sort of lays out in a little more detail what I just discussed in those slides, what those members would receive, would not receive. And it also discusses the fees. So we had a broad range of fees to be associate members as we looked across the province. They range from at the lower end would have been around $75 to $100 a year, to higher ends that would be into the hundreds, well into the hundreds. Looking at the average BIA levy and looking at what could be offered to the associate member, the suggested fee for yearly membership was $125. So if you want to be an associate member and you were approved by the board, that would be your yearly membership fee, would be the $125, which is lower than the average BIA levy, which would be around $300 per commercial property, but does reflect the added costs involved in say adding people to events and promotions throughout the year. It also lays out that, for example, if there was a downtown-based event where a BIA member would have to pay a vendor fee to participate, then those associate members would still be required to pay those sorts of vendor fees or participation fees. And that we're looking for mutually beneficial partnerships between the BIA and related Prescott businesses to help promote downtown Prescott Riverwalk District as a destination leading to business growth and new customers for businesses throughout Prescott. So looking at it as when you're looking towards these businesses who may potentially want to join, looking for those relationships where both the BIA and those businesses benefit from that association and getting involved with each. So the next steps following this, if you want to move forward with it, would be for us to put together a formal package for this associate member program, and it would need to go to council for a bylaw amendment to allow for associate memberships of the BIA. So that would be something that would have to be formalized within the bylaw. And then council would consider that at a future meeting. So it would still be a few months off before you could get to an actual formal associate membership program, but those would be the next steps moving forwards there.
Okay.
Anything, Dana, you'd like to add?
Okay, then the recommendation is that the associate membership working group recommendation be accepted as presented, and the staff be directed to move forward with the development of the associate membership package to be presented at the Downtown Prescott BIA Annual General Meeting. Can I have a mover, Tracy, and a seconder? Okay, Nicole, all in favor? Perfect. Okay, so we're on to the annual general meeting. Item 9B, Justin will present the working group's recommendation and the planning so far.
So on the annual general meeting, there was a working group for both it and the budget that met at the start of February. So for the annual general meeting, the discussion at that meeting was about what is required to be done in this annual in an annual general meeting, what are the requirements involved, and how really big do you want that meeting to be? By bylaw requirements, the financial report has to be approved by the membership at the, so what we did tonight, that has to be approved. A budget for 2024 has to be approved. A report on 2023 has to be submitted, a oral report, and a work plan for 2024, which is again just a look forward at the year. So those were the basic requirements, the sort of statutory requirements, and the discussion amongst the group was to try to keep this year's meeting more within that scope rather than having a bigger event like we had surrounding the election of members. So what I have here and was in your package was sort of a draft agenda coming out of those discussions. The group did want to have sort of a year in review, both of the town economic development and tourism, as well as the downtown Prescott year in review, which we have on the agenda there between Dana and I. The financial report would be something that Nicole would present as treasurer, which basically would be similar to tonight's, and along with the budget that we're going to discuss in the next item. And then Natalie, as our chair's report, would do a look ahead to 2024. So that includes some of the things that are already on the docket for the year, ideas, what direction the organization is going to go in 2024. So we did, because of a couple conflicts at the previous meeting, it's at the March 19th as the date, but there were a couple of conflicts with that date. So we're suggesting March 26th, the following Tuesday at 5:30, and we would have it right here in the Ruth Evanson room next door, have some light refreshments and meet our obligations.
Okay.
Anyone has any questions or anything?
All right, well, the recommendation is that the BIA schedule its annual general meeting for March 26, 2024 at the Prescott Town Hall, and direct staff to proceed with the Town of Prescott and the member notification as required. Can I have a mover? Charity, and a seconder? Nicole, perfect. All in favor?
Can I just ask?
Oh, yeah, sure, sorry.
Okay, it's not sorry. Are we gonna have any refreshments at all?
Yeah, so I'll have some light refreshments, no for a
Okay.
full meal or anything, just, I don't think unless that was something people wanted to do, have larger stuff, but I think we're thinking light refreshments, coffee, soft drinks, some sweets.
Do we need a budget allocation for the refreshments or?
Yes, we probably should actually. What that would be. Cost for that, are we thinking?
It'd just be the board itself and possibly a few members of the public,
So
a rough.
it can be,
Yes, of
it can be
numbers.
sort of the general membership of the BIA and the public could be there. I would not anticipate having more than maybe 25 people attending.
Would $250 be way too much? I'm just like, is it $10 a person for coffee and sweets? Maybe a little less, 200?
150 would be enough, and then
Yeah.
if it wasn't, if they spent nowhere near that, then it would just.
Just put it back in.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that sound like you should know these numbers.
Yeah.
Give us a rough estimate
depends how
for a
much-
catering for 25.
Like if it was just drinks and stuff, then less than 10 for sure, but
Yeah.
if, it depends if you wanted to do like some food or treats as well, then I think like they said, like even if we allocated bigger, we can always just put it back
They
in
seem like
rather
that's
than,
enough.
yeah.
Should we say 250?
So if you wanted to change that recommendation to after. And Prescott BIA annual general meeting, if you wanted to add,
Okay,
and that $250 be allocated to the expenses.
all right. Okay, so can we get a recommendation that $250 be allocated from the budget to go towards the annual general meeting? Can I get a mover, Nicole, and a seconder, Charity? Perfect. All in favor? Perfect. Carried. All right, so on to the 2024 budget. Justin will present this item.
So at that same meeting, and I think there was a little bit of an initial discussion at the last one, meeting. About what so over the previous few years, I believe, starting with the early COVID years, the board had decided to go with a 3-line item budget. So essentially that administration / coordinators expense, promotion and marketing, and streetscaping, placemaking, physical improvements. And essentially divided nearly equally, I believe it was 10,000, 9,000, 10,000 for each of those years, dividing the budget between that. And then sort of having the wide open ability to allocate throughout the year, excuse me. And that has worked well, especially in those years where there wasn't a whole lot of ability to plan because of the way the pandemic and different lockdowns would happen throughout the year. But one thought and suggestion going into this meeting was the idea of what if, and not going to a full on, the board is going to spend $250 on X, $300 on Y throughout the year, breakdown in that budget. But what if smaller envelopes were established in those categories just to give a broader idea throughout the year? In previous years, this has been what has been spent on Christmas, So we know that's sort of what's set aside for the Christmas holiday promotions, for the Halloween promotions. But this money's here, so if you wanted to do a online marketing campaign, there's an envelope there to look at that. And while at the same time not locking into very, very narrow expenses, these can still turn around, change around during the year if something came up. As well, you had the reserve expense that's there if larger expenses come up. So with that discussion, coming out of that meeting, what we did was look at what the expenses have been in previous years for different events and different types of promotions throughout the year. So that coordinator expense baseline stays there at the $10,000. Marketing promotions had the same subtotal, the 9,000. But if you look back, the summer promotions traditionally had around $2,500 allocated to them, the Halloween promotion around $1,000, the holiday promotion around $2,500, with added things throughout the year. One thing put in there was sponsorships, which both of tonight's other agenda items would fit into, as with things like the Christmas parade. So you have that there to look at those sponsorships and sponsorships for those types of events. And then moving down into the physical improvements, the allocation there, the streetscaping fund transfer, that would be to add to that $15,000 fund for the potential future streetscaping project. An additional allocation to public art, because one of the issues with the STEPS public art program last year was that the allocation we had was probably too small to do any sort of larger impactful or any sort of impactful project with the $1,000. The additional $2,000 making an allocation like that would allow for a little bit more to happen. And then just a general other beautification, so for those physical improvement projects that come up during the year. So these numbers could be moved around, discussed, different items added or subtracted, both now prior to it going out in a potential AGM package, as well as throughout the year. Really, it's not locking in anything. It's more just providing, I guess, a bit of guidance and reminder throughout the year that there's money there and can look at different projects throughout the year. The other thing I will add, as you look at the BIA levy, one of the discussion points there was that levy has remained the same for a number of years. The levy amount, essentially how that works is that levy amount is set and then it's backwards calculated across the commercial assessments within the BIA levy area. So there was some discussion about that particular amount, and perhaps in future years considering whether that amount provided for the needs of the organization. But that would be much more of a future year discussion than one for this year. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or thoughts on the idea of the budget for 2024.
As part of the planning, so I'm pretty in support of what you came up here. I think it kind of speaks well to what we had discussed and the ideas we threw around. The past couple summers, well, not just summer, but you've done a lot of evening and activation throughout. So would that fall under one of these categories, or would we want a category for that to continue with some of the, not necessarily art, but the different things you had done?
So in that, that's sort of where that $2,500 number came from. That would encapsulate the Thursdays last summer. Was about the total cost of that. That could be a situation where you're looking to move something around in there if there was an additional, say, a passport in the summer, to fund prizes for that. But yeah, that would be something that would fit more towards that summer promotions, I think.
Then I would say, in my opinion, the categories cover things pretty well then. And then, like you said, like we would be able to, as the year goes, still discuss and suggest and reallocate funds. So yeah, I think, and I like the idea of kind of then putting some of that money, like I really like the art idea and I bring it up a lot. But for the public art, the 2,000, if we didn't use it, then, or we could plan to add it up as well, right? And kind of create a bigger fund. So if we knew we had a substantial art project we'd like to do, and I'm just throwing this out there, but maybe it's 5,000. So we would know, okay, well, basically, if we plan for 2 years of saving that up, then we could.
I think that's what you discussed. Right? You discussed that, right? Like if we did
Yeah, either.
put it in and then saved it.
Look at sort of like a saving type situation. You can also look at like a reserve allocation type
Yeah.
situation. Or saying that, you know, that fits under other beautification there if there was an additional amount and general beautification.
I like that idea.
It all looks really good.
Does anybody have any other questions? Nope. All right, well, the recommendation is that the 2024 Downtown Prescott BIA budget be approved. Can I get a mover? Tracy? And a seconder? Okay, Charity. And all in favor? Perfect. All right, on to the next item, which is the Leo Boyvan Showcase sponsorship request. This will head over to Justin as well.
Oh, the Leo Boyvan Showcase is going back to Prescott in 2024 at the Elaine Chartrand Community Center. If you're not familiar, it's a very large minor hockey tournament that's gone on for, I believe, 50 years. 50 years, first at the old Leo Boyvan Community Center, and then I believe it spent the last 4 years in Cardinal. Well, this rink was being built and it's now back this year. So it brings in a large number of minor hockey teams, their parents, their siblings to Prescott here over the weekend. It's an excellent, I think probably an excellent opportunity to provide visibility for the downtown. Back there, we are going to be doing some other general town promotions with this. For example, do something similar to the restaurant promotion that we did with the Ben Hutton event last year, where we had restaurants, if they wanted to, put together a Ben Hutton special. And then just promoted all the restaurants in general and those specials as well in particular over that period. So we're doing something similar with the restaurants and having that back there. But there is an opportunity to provide support, provide a sponsorship to the Leo Boyvan Showcase at levels ranging from $250 to $2,000. It provides some visibility back at the arena. We don't have a lot of particulars as to exactly what the visibility is there, but in previous years, they've had banners with all the sponsors back there and a bit of an opportunity for some advertising, as well as just providing support to a fairly substantial community undertaking. Something that's an important part of the community, and I don't know if anyone has any questions or any other comments about it.
When will it be?
Oh, Jeannie, that's a question I don't actually have an answer to off the top of my head. Tracy
I
does
do.
though.
It's Easter weekend.
Easter weekend.
Last
Okay,
weekend
thank
of
you.
March. Yeah.
Charity?
Just curious, like, is it a banner that shows BIA? Is it like what does the sponsorship look like? I guess is my question.
So not entirely.
That
sure.
remains to be seen.
Okay.
Yeah, so in previous years, some pictures I found, they've done pull-up banners with all the sponsors ranging from the top down to the bottom that were up throughout the facility. But I'm unsure as to what it would look like.
I'm just wondering, how we can get it to benefit the individual businesses as much as possible, instead of maybe the BIA. As a committee, we don't necessarily need the advertisement. We want to support the event, but then how do we get those business names out there, maybe in some way?
So.
I would suggest from the promotion standpoint, you promote the Riverwalk district, not the BIA.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're trying to drive traffic to this district. That's really the purpose of any sort of promotions that we're doing. And I think through like the restaurant partnership and some of the other areas, we're also looking at, and we're having a meeting, Tracy and myself are actually meeting with the organizer, hopefully next week. So we should get some more insight into what exactly is included in that, what other options there might be for us to try and bring local businesses forward. I know they're going to be serving products from local businesses at the canteen. We're really trying to, establish some partnerships, maybe some sort of packaging options that would also incorporate some of the other businesses versus just the restaurants.
And actually, as you say that, yes, the Riverwalk and the QR code.
Yes.
Would direct people to the businesses directly. I wasn't thinking of that. So yes, okay, so it would, yeah.
And that's a really great, note there is having that QR code incorporated because that will take people directly to the business directory.
Yeah.
To the BIA directory.
And then you see everybody.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be we don't know exactly what it is yet, but I have no doubt there would be some great visibility in exchange for your sponsorship.
Yeah.
Tracy?
And I was just gonna say, I think we were thinking too about even setting up a table there.
Yes, so I think,
As part of the economic development.
yeah, so we'll be there with our tourism display set up, certainly have business materials on hand, our directories, our maps. We would probably do some sort of a contest where we would give away Prescott dollars and swags and then, encourage people to shop while they're here. So certainly, yeah, lots of good exposure there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is there any other questions? Okay, well, the recommendation is that the BIA contribute $250 to the Leo Boyven Showcase as a bronze level sponsor. Can I have a mover? Charity? And a seconder? Tracy? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. All right, so on to item 9E is the Canine Water Sports Canada sponsorship request. Justin will present.
So, I believe you mentioned at the last meeting, Canine Water Sports Canada is returning on Canada Day weekend. They are calling it the Make a Splash on Canada Day event, so that is June 29th to July 1st. No, it will again be down at the, beside the pop-ups, the event space beside the pop-ups. If you had a chance to make it down there last year, it is quite a spectacle. The dogs and the people and everything. It's a lot of fun, very well attended, very well run by the organization. They do a really good job with their promotions, with how the site looks. Really creating an event or in that space. And they have sent out their sponsorship packages. So I did include that whole package in your in your meeting package. And I should also note that both with the Leo tournament and with something like this, it is something that individual businesses can also choose to sponsor and take part in that way. But they have circulated their sponsorships for sponsorship levels for the event this year, which you can see through there. So the 350 Make a Splash on Canada Day banner sponsor, which includes logos and links on their website, frequent MC announcements, the opportunity to set up a booth on site during their event to promote products and services, and a banner on, so one of these banners here that are alongside the pool, it's made up for the banner sponsor. So that's at $350 level. So also received, I guess you'd say, request from Canadian Water Sports to consider the possibility of looking towards the t-shirt level. So that's the 350, which includes, or 550, which includes all of that, plus the logo being added to the t-shirts that are given to the competitors. So that could be like the Downtown Prescott or the Walk District's logo. Based on seeing some of the competitors floating around there last year, it's something that they hold on, and these are the human competitors, not the dog competitors. It's something they hold on to. You see people walking around with ones from previous events. The pet value is, I believe, one of the other t-shirt sponsors, so they're looking for an additional one there. So for the extra $200, it would be an opportunity to get that logo on those, in addition to all those other things that went along with it, with the previous level. It is going to be a large event that's going to, I think, stretch out that Canada Day weekend. Canada Day is on Monday this year. So it's sort of an opportunity to stretch out that Canada Day weekend through the Saturday and the Sunday. Have more of an event down through there, especially when the retail businesses are more open downtown on that Saturday. An opportunity to, I'm sure, have the MC announcement more suggestive about, enjoying this, go into the downtown Prescott Riverwalk district and enjoy one of our restaurants, go shop. Can provide them, I'm sure, with some language to use in those announcements that are more suggestive than just sponsored by the BIA. And just, again, it's a large scale event that's sort of impacting the BIA area, drawing a lot of people down there, and then provides an additional opportunity to sort of send people up into the downtown while they're down in there.
Do we want to do that one?
Well, that would be, if that's something that people would be interested in looking at.
I thoroughly enjoyed the event last year. I definitely am in support of sponsoring in some way or another. I would go for either or.
Tracy?
I think it would be a good incentive to encourage businesses to be open on Canada Day.
Yeah, I agree.
That
All of
it's
them
everywhere as well.
And we can communicate that to the businesses, that messaging, let them know this event's coming,
Yeah.
your BIA has sponsored it, we'll have some presence there, we'll be actively marketing.
You do a lot
And
of
it's in your best interest to, try and even look at adjusting the hours to align a little bit better,
Yeah,
especially with it being Canada Day.
Yeah, and making sure that communication gets communicated to the businesses, and even at the AGM, if we pass sponsorships before the AGM to let them know at the AGM what sponsorships we have undertaken, and then just getting that message out would be great.
And how they're, driving traffic to the business. downtown business core.
Would it most likely look like the Saturday, Sunday and Monday for events?
Yeah,
Seeing
it
as
will
I'm
be.
just looking, July 1st is the actual Monday?
Yeah, we have asked that they run the event straight through the Canada Day. So it'll be Friday setup, Saturday, Sunday, Monday events.
So then that would be great, and even like maybe encourage outside sidewalk sales and something on that Monday, something special and different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Was it a couple of days last year as well? Or-
It was 3 days. No, sorry, 2 days. 2 days last year. So they're extending it this year. Yeah. So it's growing and they had a really good response from not only the regular competitors, but just the community as a whole. Seemed to really embrace it, had a lot of local dogs come out, which is always a big factor for them.
Yeah, they can jump,
Yeah.
any dog could jump.
Yeah, that's the cool part. If
Right.
you've got a dog, and I know regardless of, you know, age or ability,
I would sink.
bring it in. There are people there to retrieve them.
You have to jump with a little life jacket.
Water
Pretty
wings.
cute.
Waterway, for sure. Well, I'm for the 550. I think it's a good opportunity to get the word out for the small businesses too. I'll just say that. But everybody else is, but
It's great. I think, you know, sorry to cut you off. Just from the long-term perspective, I think, you know, people, like Justin said, people wear these t-shirts. They
yeah,
wear them to the next event. They'll show up next year wearing them. They'll be out on their weekends repping Prescott. So it's, I think you'll get a lot of mileage out of that for another $200. I think it's well worth it.
yeah.
That tent can be a really good opportunity to do some sort of promotion from there with either dollars or some sort of mini passport sending people up downtown and.
I have to think of something really quirky that involves dogs.
Dogs, yeah.
We got
Just
time,
think
we got
that's gotta
time
involve
for that, but
dogs,
yeah, we have
some
to
sort of
come up with
fun,
some catchy, cute, quirky something. Yeah. Well, I'm in favor as well, for the additional with the t-shirts.
Okay. Everybody on board?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Well, the recommendation is that the BIA contribute $550 plus HST to make a splash on Canada Day banner sponsor for the Canada Day weekend, the CWC event at the Prescott Pop-Ups. Can I get a mover? Okay, Nicole, and a seconder? Tracy? Perfect. All in favor? All right. On to 9F item, March breaks, public skating sponsorship. And Justin will present that.
So this is another both request the BIA and something that individual businesses can consider doing too. So Recreation and Community Services has put out a request for sponsors for the public skating over March break. So they want to host a free public skating every day during March break, which is the 11th through 15th. Each session is an hour and a half. In exchange for the sponsorship, the sponsor receives their logos posted on the arena CCTV down during the skating in there, as well as a social media acknowledgement through the Recreation and Community Services page. And the cost of this sponsorship is $187.50 rather than $187 plus HST. So in this case as well, the suggestion would be to have the acknowledgement be to the downtown Prescott Riverwalk District. Be able to get the QR code pointing to the either the website or the Facebook page up there as well.
Tracy.
I'll start. I mean, I love the idea of being a community partner, but then when I look at our roadmap, our budget that we just passed tonight or approved, we're already at $800 in sponsorships. And then if we look at the
Right.
the Christmas parade, that's enough, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's something to consider that we're already almost at our halfway point in sponsorships, and we still have a lot of the year to go.
And another way to look at this too is really just getting behind it as a BIA to promote it to your fellow
Mhm.
business community as well, right? Like it doesn't necessarily, supporting it doesn't necessarily mean the BIA actually sponsoring it, but maybe even, you know, just committing to getting out there and communicating that opportunity. And, you know, we'll do the same, obviously, through our platforms, wherever possible. But I think that goes a long way too, if it's something the board doesn't necessarily feel they can, you know, budget tonight. Another way to support it is even just through communication.
I think like I agree with, we need to look out through the year, and then this is kind of backpedaling a little bit, but maybe without going back on what we just agreed on with our budget, maybe under that sponsorship, we either just know in our minds or we plan out like again and break it down different times a year. So then that would make it easier. So, you know, it's not just pulling on heartstrings or anything, but it's just, you know, for basically in quarters or seasonal or something. And then we just know for this amount of time, we've already allocated our sponsorship money and break it down even a little bit further, still being able to be flexible because of course some sponsorships like we just did are going to come in a little higher. So maybe in certain subcategories or whatever, we'd have to have a further discussion. But yeah, so that just to break it down a little further so it is easily spread out through the year, so then we don't come to the point where, oh shoot, we kind of overspent without considering that. So yeah, maybe. And this is something that I think individual businesses could really make like, this is pretty great. They're all great sponsorship opportunities, but this is one maybe that would be not only affordable, but I think you'd really be seen for that too. So as an individual business, maybe that would be, like you said, a good way to still be supporting it, but not as the BIA group, but individual businesses. And then however we can get that to the businesses in the best way, kind of quickly opposed to the newsletter, I guess, but maybe just could we send an actual email to the businesses, the downtown BIA businesses with this specific information and just say that we're at the meeting, we thought it was a great opportunity and we're just really encouraging everyone to take note of it. And if you're interested to go ahead and do that.
I think that's a great idea, just, you know, the cross promoting these opportunities. It's, you know, that's where the BIA can really be effective too. It's not just, you know, some of the more traditional things, but communication is a big piece. And I would suggest, as far as, you know, lines of communication, our social media, the BIA social media, Invest Prescott, we would definitely be promoting it through those channels. We do try to, I'm not gonna lie, we are trying to get away from sending one-off emails out and trying to, you know, curate it all through that newsletter, just because it's so hard. You miss something and then like things come in every day, and we're missing things and we're looking at even doing a bi-weekly one at some point once we get it's a lot to produce. You know, Justin is putting the lion's work into that and is doing a stellar job of it, but it's a heck of a lot of work to produce it. And I think, yeah, sometimes now that we're there, we're just trying to kind of maintain that. And yeah, unfortunately, some things do fall through the cracks because they just don't align with. But I think that's where the social media hopefully kind of augments that.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's another great way to just get it out there. And then, like you say, the individual members too, just for us to spread word and share.
Too,
and,
right?
Yeah.
And that's where really, it's our businesses that have you know, our businesses have some really impressive followings, engagements. And so just to share through other businesses can go a long way. You know, even sharing to Prescott Positive in the suggestion box as much as depending on the subject matter, it can result in some unwanted feedback, but it's a good resource.
I was just gonna say that too, about how important it is to share, not just to like.
Mhm.
And what I've seen lately, and I think it's the Brockville Chamber of Commerce, they're doing it at all numbers. And it's coming up on my feed that we've been mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you do that at all numbers, it should get everybody that's following the page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just have
I've seen that.
noticed lately, I'm like, when it says you've been.
So it goes
tagged.
to all the members of your group, all the
Yes.
followers. Ew, I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah.
Then it shows up as like followers,
Mhm.
at followers,
Okay.
because it gets your attention, I guess. 'Cause
Yeah.
it says you're there, but you're not.
You're tagged
Yeah,
or,
you're tagged.
yeah. Yeah, I've gotten a couple of those where I'm just like, what? Yeah.
That, I was wondering, so.
Is this a relatively new thing?
I think
Yes.
fairly new, yeah.
I've just noticed it recently, and it'll say you've been tagged by.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great way to get to help get our messaging out there a lot easier.
So are we gonna pass on that then? Okay. All right, so do I have to make a recommendation for that? Just nothing? Okay. All right, so on to item 10. The recommendation is that the Board of Management enter closed session under section 239 2B of the Municipal Act, personal matters about the unidentifiable individuals, including municipal employees, and that Chief Administrative Officer, Economic Development Officer, BIA Coordinator remain in the room for the discussion. Can I have a mover? Tracy, and a seconder? Cherry, perfect. All in favor? Okay. All right.
You do.
Am I coming back? Or should I take my stuff?
We could be a while, so possibly.
Is that, oh yeah, if you wanna even just grab a seat in that room there, Holly, you just keep the light on.
Oh,
There's some chairs set up, should be some chairs set up in there.
Okay.
We're still online. I don't
Oh.
remember how to. Would you be able to log back in if I end the meeting?
I hope so.
We have to do that.
Can't go offline?
I can't find it.